Hello, fifth grade. This is your video for art for your candle project that you're going to do, candle wreath. And so what I'm going to do, usually I don't do it on my computer, but it's easier for me to show you the different things up close. But basically, the first thing you're going to do is you cut around the candle and you cut around the ribbons. And you notice there's a white line between there. You cut between there, cut the little flame out. But then also what you're going to do is you're going to cut the white where not the dashed lines, these dotted lines in the middle here, you don't cut, but you're going to cut the lines in between. So you cut that whole thing out, including the green on the outside. You don't cut the in between there. The green on the outside, you cut the outside of all these, and then you're going to do some other things with it. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll get these cut, and that'll be your first step as well. Okay, that took me about 20 minutes to cut everything out, so it'll probably take you as long. But you want to be as neat as possible. You've got your two sections, one with the little extra light green part. They have letters on the end of both of them, and those are going to be matched up here in a little bit. But and then you have your candle portion, and then the flame as well, and then your two ribbons. I'm sorry, your two ribbons. Three ribbons, actually, the one long piece and the two short pieces that are angled. And so that's what we start with. And then if you look at the instructions, after it says to do that, you're going to overlap the rectangles and glue them together and allow the glue to dry. And so this is an important step. In fact, I suggest even just to make sure that you've got it correct, and what you're doing is this. You're taking your two sections, the A that matches up with the A here, that matches up with the A down here. As you can see, those two. And so you're going to line those up, and you're going to overlap so that you don't see any of the light green, so that the dotted lines are together. And then you're going to glue them. Now, mine is a little bit short. So as I'm looking, I'm seeing I'm a little bit short here. So I'm going to cut a little bit of that edge off just to make sure that they match up pretty evenly. And just do one little tiny strip all the way up. What I don't want it to show is the light green. I don't mind if the dark green overlaps a little bit, because that's already the color that's there. And so this then, as long as you line up the dotted lines, that is the more important part. And so now everything's all lined up, as you can see here. Well, it's lined up as best as you possibly can get anyway. And so you're going to line it up, and you're going to glue those so that part is sticky. And then you got to really wait till it dries before you can continue on. And so that'll be your next step. All right, so I've got that glued now. It's one long strip, and you can see that the lines match up well. And so what they tell you to do in the instructions is, while you're waiting then for that to dry, is to go ahead and take your flame, and you're going to attach it to one end of the candle. And so it says to put a dot of glue, and I've got a glue stick, and I think that works well. I put it on the inside, the part that's all red, and the reason being because when you fold it up, you're going to have the two pieces come together. And so I will put it like this. I put glue on the back side here. I'm going to put it like this, just a little bit overlapping. And then I'm going to take you see the fold marks, that's what these little dotted lines are for. And then it says it says to set it aside. So I guess I'd better set it aside first before I do anything else with it. Okay, now that my rectangle is dry enough to go ahead and fold, the first thing you want you to do is to fold it in half. So you take it and you fold the two ends with the dotted lines on the inside, okay? And so you take those two ends and put them together, and trying to make sure it's nice and straight. You don't want to crimp down the ends too hard until you make sure that it all matches. You can see the edges on mine will match very well when I get it. So once I get those edges matching, and then I'll fold that middle part, but then I want to look on the inside and make sure it's folded right on that dotted line. Mine does seem to be folded right on that dotted line. And so I'm done with that. Then it says to reopen the rectangle, pressing it flat, fold along the middle dotted line. I think I may have Oh, yeah, I messed up. Okay, so you should have done under dotted line A and B first. Okay, so those are the edge ones, and they should come right to the middle. And so go ahead and fold. If you did it the other way, it's not going to hurt it. You just have to make sure you unfold it flat and carefully. And so I've got the one side, the A folded. You can see right to the middle. Then I'm going to fold the other side, the B, right to the middle as well. Now this is important because, okay, when you, the neater and the straighter it is, the better it's going to turn out. It's not going to turn out well if you are not being accurate as far as where you're folding it, as far as cutting correctly. It's just not going to be as accurate. And so, got everything here. All right. Now, one thing I like to do is I like to use, once I get the folds right, I'll use my fingernails to crimp the edges. It seems to work well as far as getting a nice flat edge. And so, that one, and then all of this side. Just using my thumbnail on the edge, and on this edge here. So I just kind of slide up as I'm doing it to make sure it all matches. It matches it down well, or folds it well. All right. Then it says to unfold that and press it flat. And now I've got that folded. And then it says that you're going to fold. It says reopen the rectangle, pressing it flat. Fold along the middle dotted line. Okay, so flatten it out again. Press along the middle dotted line, which I had already done, but I'm going to follow the directions here. Middle dotted line, and then, I've actually got it backwards. I had told you to do it with the dotted lines inside, but actually it should be the dotted lines on the outside, and here's the reason why. Which shouldn't be hard to fix. All you do is refold on the other opposite side. I had forgotten about the idea that you have to use those lines to cut on, because those lines that you have that are on the outside will be cut on, and so I've redone it, and it's really easy. You just fold back along where you had folded it before. You flatten it out again, and then fold that middle line, which I already done the other way, so it still works. Make sure your edges match up best as you possibly can, and then so you've got it folded in half now. And then what's going to happen is you're going to overlap. And so it says to reopen the rectangle, pressing it flat, fold along the middle line. Hold folded rectangle firmly, cut on the dotted lines, diagonal lines. Okay, so those diagonal lines you're going to cut on. Now you can see them on this side, that is. Okay, so I'm going to cut on those diagonal lines. You don't want to go past those diagonal lines, except for on the ends. You're going to cut that end off. It's going to go completely through because you see it's right on the edge there. And so that one you're going to cut through completely. Okay, so I'm going to do that then. Go through and cut all of my lines so that they're halfway. And I'll go ahead and pause the video here, and then you can join me again when I'm finished with that. Okay, so you can see what I've done. I've cut them all now. And then that edge one that comes off, this other one stays there. But all right, so now it says to fold into a large prism. Now, a prism would be like a triangle in this particular case. But you're going to fold it so that the two bottom flaps, the A and the B, are going to overlap each other. And so you can see what I've done is I've taken I had it in half. I took my fold, and now the two other folds, and I'm going to make it into sort of a triangle type of thing. Okay, so it looks like that on the ends. All right, and so you're going to do that. And then it says bring the ends together, forming the bottom of the wreath, and glue overlapping ends of wreath. So what I've done here is you can see that I've got my two ends. I'm going to overlap them a little bit so that that little piece at the end touches. Okay, so now in order to do that, it says to glue overlap, the overlap on the ends of the wreath. So you can see here, I'm going to glue on the inside of this one. Now I have a glue stick. That's going to make it a little harder. Glue would be better, but a glue stick will work. The one thing that doesn't work well is tape. But what I can also do, instead of doing that, like trying to stick it in there, is I can undo mine, and I look at which flap is the one that's sitting closest, and you can see this one is in here. So I take it and unfold it, and I just put a little glue on that part right there. So that will overlap it, and that will stick to it, okay? And so I have it. It's on the inside. The glue's not touching the other part. It's not touching the other part there. So I take my ends and I bring them together again. Now the one thing that is helpful is that they're cut correctly. If you don't cut it all the way up to the line, it won't be round. Okay, you can see this is nice and round. And so I put it inside there, this part. Get it inside that little loop there. I let it get to the first, that little piece right there that's in there. I let it get it to there first. And then I'm going to press down. Hold it there for a minute. Okay. Now this little piece here might end up cutting off. I'm not sure. In fact, before I finish gluing it, because it's sticking pretty quickly, I'm going to cut not... Now, you don't have to do this. It will probably be fine otherwise. But because of the way that the edge is, I'm just cutting the little triangle on the end off here. And so that side, and then I gotta get the other side. So now I have that triangle off that end, and I'm just going to overlap it now and put it back inside there where it's going to stick. That glue, and let it sit for a minute here. All right, and so it says to bring the forming the... All right, then it says going to fold the candle. So now I've got that sticking there perfectly fine. Now that part where it folded together is the bottom of your candle, or the bottom of your wreath. And so you have the wreath, the other part. I think I like it this way for myself. And where it folded over is at the bottom. And so now I've got my wreath. It's nice and round. You see it stays nice and round. That's because I cut all the way to the edge of that line, and those lines were folded correctly. And you see the dotted lines there. So I folded right about where the dotted lines were. It's not perfect, but it's going to work fine. And where I overlapped them, where they glued together, and I'm going to do a little bit of glue on the other side too, because I can see it's coming a little bit loose. Well, actually, I think when I put my candle in here, it's probably going to make a difference. So I put my candle, if I can find my candle. What did I do with my candle? Uh-oh. Lost my candle. I don't know where it is. Oh, it fell on the floor. That's why. Okay. So my candle, then, you see the two dotted lines, and so those are going to be folded. And they will match up pretty much perfectly with each other once you fold on those two dotted lines in the middle of the candle piece of paper there. And then you match it up. And so you see the edge there. So you match it up so the candle is pretty much the same. And then you're going to glue that. And so I'm going to put some glue on the inside of it first with my glue stick. All right, and so that is going to be first part. So you see now it is glued, okay? Then it tells me to gently pull the ribbons across the edge of scissors. Now this is a kind of a tricky type of thing as far as the ribbons, and it says glue the ends of the bow together. Okay, so these two things are the ribbons, these two little parts here, okay? And so what they want you to do is they want you to kind of pull it on the edge of the, they sort of have you pull it on the edge of the scissors. And you got to be careful with this, not because you're going to cut yourself, I would hope you wouldn't, but because you don't want to cut the paper. And so now an easier way, honestly, I think would be this. You take your thumbnail, if you have a big enough thumb, and you just roll it right along the edge, and you see how it curls it. And that's what you're trying to do, is get it to curl. You don't want to curl too much, but and they actually have it curled up all the way, and so you can even curl the end of that even more if you feel good about that, if that's what you want to do. You can just leave them hanging down on the edges too, but the directions do say to do it this way. So I've got one in this direction, all right, and so I'm going to do the other one that way. And so I'm going to fold it just like that. And you see how I've used my fingernail to do that. Now, the one thing about the fingernail is I left a line in there, but that's the way it goes. All right, and so it's not going to be too bad after all. And so you can see I have my two, oops, I did it backwards, didn't I? All right, but you can always go back and do it the other direction, and it still works. Okay, so now I have my two ribbons. Now I can match those up this way, like this, or I can match them up the other way. It doesn't really matter. The idea being that you've got these two ribbons, they're going to hang off the bottom. Okay, and they're going to go underneath the candle. It says press the ends of the bows together. And so that top edge of that ribbon is then going to be going the other direction. So you want to put that, so it's sort of like an S. And so that's going to go at the bottom of the bottom of the wreath here. I don't know if you can see that very well, where I'm going to put my candle. And so I'm going to put that at the bottom of the wreath, like right here, and then your ribbon should hang off of that. And so you can even fold that top part because that's not going to be important to have that up. And so put these two together. All right, so when you put your candle down, all right, you have your candle and you're going to put it down at the bottom. Where is that bottom? It's on the other side. Okay, so you can put it at the bottom. And then you're going to hang your your ribbons with it, okay? And so my bottom is here, okay? Now I've noticed that it's a little loose on this one particular thing, so I'm going to put a little glue in there to get that to stick better. You can do what you need to do to make adjustments on things. It's not a problem to do that. You just got to make sure that you don't mess your wreath up. And so now I've got it sticking well. All right, and so these two ribbons, I put one flat like that, and it's right on one side of that piece of paper there. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just put glue in there so that it'll stay. So it with the candle, then when I put the candle in, that'll stay. All right, so I put one ribbon there, all right, and so you can see I've got it stuck in there. I put the glue right at the bottom of that where the two lines, and I'm putting the ribbons one on one side of the line and one on the other side. All right. In fact, I think I'm going to flap them a little bit so that the ribbon comes out some. So I'm going to fold this a little bit differently. Do that with the other one. The glue's still a little bit wet. Nice thing about stick glue sticks, are that you can usually pull it off. Even with regular glue, you can do this too. But then you can fix things, adjust them where you need to go. And so you see, I've got my two ribbons in there now. Okay, and those two ribbons that are there are in place where I want them. And then I've got my glue stick, and I've already got my glue in there. So I've got my candle. I've got to get my candle in the right place as well. Okay, and so I put my candle in there. And make sure it's right in the middle so that it's the same on both sides. You see, I have it fits right on top. In fact, I put some glue on top of those ribbons. I forgot because I could put the candle on there too. So I put some glue on top of the ribbons. And I've got my candle right there now at the bottom. And it is fitting perfectly in there. So you see my candle, and this is the front view here. And so I have my candle in my wreath. All right, and now the last part is the ribbon. And the ribbon is, it says to glue the end of the bows together for me to circle. Okay, and so you've got the ends here, and you're going to glue them together in a circle. But then I think what you're going to do is you're going to press them down. It says press down at the center and fasten with a dot of glue. So I've got it in a circle, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, first I'm going to glue them together first. That's what it says to do, glue the ends of the bows together, okay? So I've done that. All right, so you can see that that's now a full circle by itself. Then I'm just going to press it down the middle. And you see I'm going to glue it. I have the two lines, so it glues in the middle now, all right? And that fits perfectly. Then, see that's stuck together now. Then that goes on the front of the candle. And so I have my candle here, and I'm going to put this on the front. Got to put a bit of glue on this. And I'm going to put it on the side, the glue on the side where the fold is. You see where the line is, where they connected. So I'm going to put it on that side because I don't want that side to show. So the other side that's nice and clean shows. And I'm going to put it right on the bottom of the candle. You got to get your finger inside the candle to press it against it. Hold it there. And so here we go. And there is your wreath with the candle, with the ribbons, and looking pretty good. And I think I'll use this as a decoration on my desk. All right. Well, that's it, 5th graders. I hope that was a help to you. And, of course, you can always come and ask me questions if you're not sure yourself. But as you can see, it does take a long time, which is one of the reasons why we're not doing it in class. It is a lot of detail, but I think that once you've gotten it done, I think you'll find that it's going to be very helpful to have watched the video. And hopefully I'll remind everybody that you need to not, look at that, right? Picture, a pretty picture, right there in my face. But that it's not going to be, it's going to come out right as opposed to coming out the wrong way. Now, one thing I noticed I did wrong, and you may have noticed it too, the flame. You see how the flame, I have it on the wrong side. Now, I can fix that pretty easily, so I'm going to do that since I can fix that. And I'm going to just take the flame, because I think it's still loose enough that I can do that, and just slowly pull it apart. And I'm going to switch sides and put it back in there. And it worked. There we go. So make sure you put that flame on the right side of where you want it, or at least when you put the candle in, you put it in the right way. And so there's my flame. Oh, my ribbon's gotten all crooked because the glue is still a little bit not dry yet. All right, so there we go. And hopefully that's a help to you. Have a wonderful day. I hope it goes well. All right, bye.